The big test is going to be if Trump shows up to the SCOTUS oral arguments. If Trump does not, then he's lost.
What would that be?
The presidential immunity oral arguments, I believe, are next week. I could be wrong. I think it's Wednesday. This is to hear for the Supreme Court to answer whether or not a president can be criminally charged for actions they took as president as per their official duties as president. I believe it's fairly obvious. Of course, you can't criminally charge a president for the actions of the official duties, for a president. The Democrats and MSNBC and all that are arguing that Trump is claiming he's immune from all criminal prosecution, period. Trump's legal team is not arguing that. They're arguing if a president, walks on a Fifth Avenue and shoots somebody, that's a criminal act. You go to jail. Doesn't matter if they're president or otherwise. If a president signs off on a drone strike because he's given intel by the CIA, you cannot criminally charge him for that unless he is impeached first. He has to be impeached, convicted, then criminal charges can be brought about. Congress has to agree and confirm the president in his official duties committed an infraction. That is a high crime and misdemeanor worthy of him being removed from office and is also criminal. That's the argument. Trump doesn't literally need to be at the oral arguments. His lawyers are there. But I believe it is a moral imperative for the former president who is standing for this case to defend the office of the executive branch by being at the Supreme Court, standing face to face with those justices. As his legal team argues, you cannot criminally charge a president for actions they took as per their official duties. This judge told Trump he cannot do that.
But you were just saying that if he went to the New York one, that's him kind of like giving in. That's him giving a signal that I'm like weak or something. I don't think so. I don't think it's weak at all. But you were kind of seeming like you were saying that about the other case.
The Supreme Court hearing is an argument between the executive branch and I suppose the Democrats in certain states in the federal government, the DOJ, current administration. Trump literally should be at the Supreme Court. So the third branch.
I think he should too. I think he should be there. But I feel like he should, if he's facing that, if he's facing the crime accusations in New York and he's facing this at the Supreme Court, I feel like both of those is a show of strength.
So Trump has a choice. He can stand up for the office of the presidency in front of the Supreme Court, or he can go to this fake criminal trial in New York City. If Trump The question for Trump now is, what is more important, the fabric of this nation and the office of the presidency, or going to jail for 30 days? If Trump goes to the Supreme Court, he will be held in contempt and likely jailed. They threaten. Maybe they don't actually do it. What is scarier to Trump? The fabric of this nation being torn to shreds and the office of the presidency effectively being removed, or going to jail for 30 days? That's his choice. When we brought it up on the show, when the story broke, everybody said, yeah, Trump's going to skip SCOTUS. He's going to say, I don't need to be there. My lawyers will be there. It'll be fine. I don't want to go to jail.
I don't know. I feel like I could see him going.
I'd love to see him go.
I could see him going, and maybe he would go to jail. Maybe he would be in the handcuffs. You said maybe some people think that would be a big PR thing. I don't know. But I think that he will defend the presidency.
Well, I'm curious as to what you guys think if you want to chat, because we did have Triton 54 the other day. He said that if Donald Trump skips the SCOTUS hearing, he won't vote for him, because that shows that Trump cares more about complaining about corruption as opposed to actually fighting it.
That's an interesting conundrum. It is important that we defend the office. That is a big important thing. It's not about Trump. This is about the office of the presidency and what the president can and can't do. That's at least what the Supreme Court's dealing with right now. I don't know, man. Would he have gone if it was just? Yes, he would have gone. For sure.
He had said for the longest time he will be at the oral arguments for his presidential immunity, and the judge just said no. He actually requested, we'd like to be at the oral arguments, and the judge said no. He said, I know that your client, a case before the Supreme Court is important, but the New York Supreme Court is important too, and you are a criminal defendant in this case, and you will not attend that. So what's scarier? A state court judge wagging his finger over what is clearly a fake criminal charge with no underlying crime, telling you cannot go to one of the most important oral arguments in the history of this country. Like, it's a no-brainer. Trump has to go to the Supreme Court. and that risks contempt. And this is a big moment for him. Will he actually defy the judge? I think it's actually fairly easy. Because my attitude would be like, with all due respect, Your Honor, you do not trump the Supreme Court, and this country is more important. And I'd say it straight to the cameras. I'd say it to everybody. If this judge thinks that his state and his singular criminal trial matters more than the history of this country, I'd like to see him announce that to the world. I will be at the Supreme Court oral arguments. He can do what he does after that. That's his purview. And then if they want to arrest Trump, let the headlines ring. Donald Trump arrested for contempt of court for having attended the Supreme Court oral arguments on presidential immunity instead of attending a criminal trial. Let it be that. Let them write about it on Wikipedia or wherever they want to write about it. But that's why I asked what people thought, because like I mentioned, Triton54 the other day super chatted saying, if Trump skips the oral arguments, he will not vote for him. I'm curious if other people feel that way, or if it's just people are going to vote for Trump because nobody's going to vote for Biden.
None of this stuff.
I feel like he should go. I agree with you. But if he's not there, I don't see why that's such a big game changer.
Why he's not
in
at the Supreme
terms
Court?
of the person writing that they're not going to vote for Trump anymore unless he's in contempt of the court and goes to Supreme Court.
Right. If Trump does not attend the Supreme Court oral arguments because a state court judge told him not to, what the super chatter said was it shows Trump's more concerned with himself. He's less concerned with this country than himself. And he said it was a signal that the second term will be the same as the first. That Trump's not actually going to fire people. He's not actually going to he's not going to appoint someone to the DOJ to deal with the corruption. It's going to be Trump getting in the presidency and just saying, please leave me alone. I don't want to go to jail.
I think that's the accurate prediction. I really do.
Yeah.
He's not going to go to the Supreme Court if the judge won't allow him. There's no chance.
It shows tremendous weakness.
Yep.
Fear of a lesser court, which is insane.
Perceived fear
Right.
of a kangaroo court.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. Yeah.
But we'll see. I mean, even missing his son's graduation is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
That's wild.
Yeah, I mean, if he's in contempt of court, though, it's like you were saying what an issue it is if his campaign, he's not able to do these events, he's not able to do things like he normally would. I mean, that would obviously make it a lot more difficult. So I also feel like I could see why he wouldn't go. So I don't know if it's that, he's all talk, no action if he doesn't go.
Why wouldn't he go to the Supreme Court?
Because like you were saying, it's tying his hands. It's making it
Going
so
to
that
the Supreme
he's not.
Court?
You were saying if he goes to the Supreme Court, it's in contempt of the judge from New York.
No. The Supreme Court is the job. Donald Trump is asking us to believe that when he's elected, he will do things like stand up for us at the Supreme Court. If he says, unless a state court judge tells me I can't do it, then I'm supposed to believe that when he becomes president, we're actually getting anything done this time? Look, his first term was great. I didn't vote for him in 2016. But then when I saw the foreign policy stuff and the ESG stuff, I was like, okay, this is the clear no-brainer. A timeline for withdrawal from Afghanistan, trying to get our troops out of Syria, the Abraham Accords, all these peace agreements, crossing the DMZ into North Korea. I'm like, this is amazing. At the same time, escalation of drone strikes, a lack of transparency in drone strikes. I get all that. Commando raids in Yemen, 59 Tomahawks into Syria. There were bad things too. Bringing John Bolton on, he made a lot of mistakes with his personnel choices. But for a while, we talked about how Trump's going to want revenge. He's going to want retribution. And he even said, I will be your retribution. So now the concern is, obviously, between Biden and Trump, Trump's the obvious choice because he's the best president of my lifetime. But there were a lot of mistakes made during the first term where they cemented his feet and dropped him in the ocean, and he had to fight against that. We are hoping that this time around, the gloves come off. Mm-hmm. He appoints someone like Kash Patel as AG or head of the FBI. If Trump is so scared of a judge in New York that he would skip the Supreme Court oral arguments on presidential immunity, I don't believe that a second term is going to be anything substantive at all.
Okay, I don't agree.
It's still better than Biden.
I think he should go. I agree with you there. But if he doesn't go, I don't think we can be saying, hey, Trump, if you don't do this one specific thing, we're done with you. If you don't do this one specific thing, we're done with you. No, I'm just making the counter argument and saying that if let's say you're a pro-lifer and you're like, I don't know about Trump anymore because he said this, or you're saying, I really want the gloves to come off. You have to go to this court hearing. If you don't go to the court hearing, I don't want to vote for you anymore. If if you don't do this, I'm not going to vote for you anymore. I just think we can't be purists in that sense. And I think if Trump is reelected, we'll have a much better chance of fighting the deep state than if we elect people from the deep state like Joe Biden and we don't change anything. So there's no question in my mind that we have to vote for Trump, and anyone who's remotely concerned about any of these topics needs to vote for Trump. I mean, Biden is sending us even faster into this direction than we would be otherwise.
I think people vote for Trump either way, but I think there's going to be a serious lack of morale in organizing that puts his chance of winning at risk when people just say he wouldn't even attend his own oral arguments because a fake made-up charge in New York judge told him he wasn't allowed to. Like, how am I supposed to believe this is a guy who's going to fight the deep state when it's just some state court judge who tells you, let me break this down. A state court judge under false pretenses said, Mr. Former President, I am barring you from going to the Supreme Court during your oral arguments. If Trump says, okay, we're going to get some underling in his next term, a bureaucrat from like the EPA who's going to file a charge against Trump. And then Trump's going to go, well, I guess I lost. I guess I'm not the president anymore.
But before you mentioned those suburban women, you were saying, oh, what if these suburban women find it kind of uncomfortable that you're a felon or something like that? Maybe he wouldn't want to go to jail because he wants to win those people. I'm not saying that's the right thing to do, but I'm saying you have to balance winning over all of these people who want him to bash the deep state, as well as try to win over these swing voters or people who maybe don't want him to be in contempt of court.
But if he didn't go, would you agree that shows a sign of weakness?
I don't think it shows a sign of weakness. I think it would just show that was the strategy decision that he made. And I don't know what he's going to decide. I don't know. Maybe he will go. But I'm just saying that I think that you'd have to balance all of those things in thinking about the campaign and what message you're trying to send. Who are you trying to win over?
Yeah, I would need to know more about his plans with his lawyer, what their legal strategy is. Are they willing to take 30 days in a New York jail? Would that be good for promo? Is it? I would need to know more to make a claim to be like, Don, do that.
I think it was Piers Morgan on the 5.
Yeah.
If they arrest Donald Trump, he'll win in a landslide.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe the real strategy is actually a no-brainer. Trump says, I go to the Supreme Court, I prove that I will fight for this country. They overplay their hand and then make me a martyr. And the whole country says Trump jailed for trying to defend this nation.
I could see that happening.
Send that message. But that's my point. If Trump gets jailed for standing up for this country by going to the Supreme Court oral arguments, that's a massive show of strength.
Mm-hmm.
And then he goes to jail. They're going to make him a martyr. I don't know that it gives him a landslide, but many people think if they jail him, his approval rating skyrockets. Thanks for watching this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. Hang out with us live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. and become a member over at timcast.com for uncensored, members-only shows exclusive. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all next time.